welcome to our very first episode of Macro School Weekly. Thank you for joining me. I'm Charlene Belusovic. Now today in the kitchen, I'm going to be showing you how to make these very simple 4 ingredients cookies. And next week, we're going to use these cookies as a base for a super scrumptious and rather beautiful raspberry summer fun cheesecake. Now, before we get to the cookies, let me introduce you to Oliver Calmedo. Oliver is going to share the top 5 things that make macrobiotic cooking unique and, in my opinion, one of the most sophisticated and conscious ways of eating.
Hi, I'm Oliver Calmedo, Principal of the International Macrobiotic School. And I want to tell you a little bit about why I feel that macrobiotic cooking is so unique and so useful at this time. When I got into macrobiotics in 1980, 40 years ago, everybody thought we were really crazy because we were advising a plant-based diet, eating grains and millet, which everybody considered to be bird food, and beans and vegetables and seeds and all this kind of thing. And this was very, very different to the typical British Western culture diet, and so people thought I was pretty crazy. Now, however, a lot of people are thinking this is definitely the way to go. Even Western nutrition is now saying this is the way to go. So this is the latest NHS guidelines on what to eat: 1/3 vegetables, 1/3 whole grains and complex carbohydrate. The dairy section has now gone. Instead we have dairy or alternatives, soy milk, etc. And this is the proteins section, which used to be meat. It now says eat more beans and pulses, 2 portions of sustainably sourced fish per week, and less meat and processed foods. So this is NHS guidelines. Is now a plant-based diet. 1/3 plants, another 1/3 plants. A lot of this also plant foods, so it's recommending at the most about 1/8 of our diet is made up of animal food. And by the way, sugary foods, processed foods are now outside the diagram. 4 years ago, sugar and sugary treats was thought to be essential for health. Now they've realised it is not essential for health, and actually from all of these kind of foods we can make really delicious desserts. So World Health Organization, Heart Foundation, all of these kind of mainstream organizations are all saying the same thing: eat a plant-based diet. The China study, you may know, very extensive study by Colin Campbell, same conclusions. The blue zones solution, very, very interesting. The author Dan went around 5 places in the world where people live the longest to find out what they were doing and what they were eating. And a range of things are important: social things, social support, regular exercise, and also eating a plant-based diet, not surprisingly. So macrobiotics kind of got it right 40 years ago, and other people as well, whole food movement. And really the world is now catching up with the fact that a plant-based diet is best for the health. But what else does macrobiotics have to offer? I think a number of things, and this is why it is really good to study the macrobiotic approach to cooking. So one is that macrobiotics has really been experimenting with and developing plant-based cooking and eating for the last 40-50 years. In macrobiotics, another strength of macrobiotics is we're using whole foods. We start off with grains, beans, vegetables, seeds, nuts, fruits, maybe some fish. All these foods have a lot of qi in. So when we eat these foods, then we get a lot of qi. So macrobiotics really developed a good way of eating a healthy plant-based diet. Number 2, this is a flexible system. It's not saying one size fits all, like a lot of other diets that are around at the moment, paleo, vegan, keto, etc. Number 3, macrobiotics is also focusing on balance in the food, especially using the ancient principles of yin and yang and the 5 elements. Next thing is cooking is an alchemy. Cooking is an incredible art, and you could also say science, for changing the nature of foods. Lastly, food is medicine. It's such a great medicine to use. I've been using it for 40 years. To start off with, I didn't know what I was doing. Now, mostly have a pretty good idea of what I'm doing. So if I start feeling out of balance, tired, bit headachy, tense inside, whatever, tired, fatigued, then I'll adjust my food the next 1 or 2 meals, bring myself back into balance, and then I'm feeling good again.
So let's just recap those 5 things that make macrobiotics such a conscious and intelligent way of cooking and feeding ourselves are: number 1, it's a well-developed and consciously evolving approach to food. Number 2, it's a flexible approach, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Number 3, it focuses on creating balance. Number 4, it's an alchemy. And number 5, it uses food as medicine. Now it's time to get into the kitchen. Now, first things first, let's get the oven on. So we're going to set the oven at 180 degrees Celsius. I really like this recipe as it's sweetened with fruit rather than syrup. So we're getting the sweetness from a more whole plant source rather than from a processed plant source. Now, I don't know about you, but I find the more that I can cook and eat things that are as close to their whole and most natural state as possible, the better I feel. Next, I'm going to soak 100 grams of raisins in hot water, pouring over just enough to cover them and then allowing them to sit for 10 minutes. So next, discard the soaking water and transfer the raisins, 125 grams of oats and 45 grams of ground almonds into a food processor. Add a pinch of salt and give this a blitz. Transfer to a bowl, add in 3 tablespoons of olive oil, mix together well, and then form into cookies. Now, I do this by taking a small amount into my hands and then rolling it into a ball, and then using my hands to flatten and shape them like so. You're going to find your own way of doing this, so just go with whatever feels right for you. Place the cookies on a lined or greased baking tray and bake in the oven for 20 minutes. Remove from the oven and allow to cool. And here we have our easy peasy to make 4 ingredient cookies. Now, these are great to make with children and wonderful served with a cup of herbal tea or some warmed, spiced, plant-based, sugar-free milk. Okay, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up below and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.